USF Athletics here with Reid Ehrisman, Director of Track and Field and Cross Country here at USF. Week and a half removed from possibly one of the biggest weekends in USF track and field history. 2 national championships, numerous All-Americans. What are the big takeaways for you from the NCAA Indoor Championships?
I mean, ultimately, to sum it up, I mean, God is good. God is good, and even if that wouldn't have happened to Eric, he would still be good and faithful in what happened there. I mean, the memories that were made with those 11 athletes and 5 coaches that were there on that national trip will last forever. So even the takeaway, I mean, us being national champions and having All-Americans, that's huge, but just the fact that we can come together and as a team and as a group, and you know, every night we had team devotion, and just keeping what's important in our program important even at the national championships was really neat, and just to see the kids grow in relationships with each other. But no doubt about it, from a performance standpoint, the best performance in this school's track and field history. For Scott and Courtney, I guess I'll kind of go down the list. I mean, Scott and Courtney, first of all, to be national champions. It's happened one time, and happened in 2000, a year after the women's pole vault had been instated into the NCAA. So we're the second school to do that, to have a men's national champ and the pole vault and the women's national champ. And Scott, incredible story with him. I mean, with the Western State young man had an injury, came in at 17-2, made it on his first attempt, put Scott in second at 17-6. Scott needed a make at 17-6 to be the national champion. The Western State kid had basically scratched at that point because his hamstring was gone, and Scott, first 2 attempts, didn't take it up, and you know, thought, man, what are we gonna do? And I don't even remember what I told him, and I just remember, let's get the clap started. I said to Courtney, let's get the clap started. So we got the slow clap started, and comes down and has plenty of height, but comes down on it, and the bar kind of wiggles a little bit and stays up. And one of the neatest moments. No one's more deserving of a national championship than Scott Greenman, especially coming off 2 weeks earlier, no hiding at the conference meet. And then Courtney, and then to consider, there's 6 guys at 17 feet in that competition, so that was not an easy competition. And then with Courtney, it was a 2-woman race, basically, her and the Missouri Southern girl. And Courtney went clean from 12-4 to 12-10 to 13-2 to 13-6, and then 14-2. She didn't have a single miss, and that's pretty incredible. Set the national meet record. It was 4:31, and she went 14-2. And then we went for the all-around record, or overall record, and had some good attempts, but at that point she was pretty gassed, so really neat for them. And then Jagger and Jake, 3rd and 5th. The only way you could have written that better is if we would have gone 2 and 3. But those guys went 16, 10 3/4, performed really well. You know, for Jake, it's his 2nd time as an All-American, and for Jagger, it's his 4th time as an All-American. And so really excited for those guys. And Teddy was 6th. You know, amazing performance from him, amazing 2 days from him. First year being in the HEP, and goes to the national championships, and he's running around, and he's just loose and just going with the flow. Doesn't get tight or anything, and you know, just me and Coach Ernie were really impressed how he handled the moment, being a sophomore, never being in that situation. But I think when you come with a veteran group that's been at the national championships, I think he gleaned a lot from Scott and Jagger and Chase and those guys that have been at the national championships. And then you know, Jada jumped just over 18 feet, and honestly, we had kind of moved into outdoor training with her and really didn't expect her to get into nationals just because she was so far down on the performance list. But after scratches, she ends up getting in. You know, and the performances on the women's long jump was pretty. It was lower than I don't know what the reason was, but a lot of the marks were actually lower than coming in. So, and then our DMR had really high hopes for them. You know, we just didn't run well, and that's just the simple fact of it, that we did not put ourselves in a position from the get-go to be able to race in a meet like that. If you're out of it, if you're not in the pack right away, there's no way of catching up because everybody's running fast. There is nobody running slow at that meet, and so that was a little disappointing. But those guys are young; they'll be back, and I know they'll come back excited next year, ready to do some different things. So kind of sums up the week. Our men finished 9th in the country, scored 21 points, and our women's team was 21st with 10 points. Courtney's 10 points. So it's really cool to have one team in the top 10 and another team in the top 25. And I don't think that's ever happened in our history either. So a lot of history was made this year. Like I said, through it all, God has been good. There's been a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and Coach Green always told me, don't let the highs be too high and the lows be too low, and that's definitely been true this year, where you got to keep perspective, and that's what we've done.
And you mentioned a lot of history has been made, numerous, over 20 school records have been broken, over 100 top 10 marks. So how do you change such a fruitful indoor season, transition that into a equally successful outdoor year?
Yeah, well, it's been nice. We had spring break, so our kids, and they have some time just to get away, go home, or just decompress from the indoor season, and now kind of gear up. I saw it yesterday at practice. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of our distance runners are out on the track. Our middle distance runners are out on the track. I mean, Coach Ernie's group was up here. My group was up here. A lot of excitement. You can just tell that what we did indoors, I think our kids are starting to believe. I think our men's team really sees that, wow, we do have a phenomenal team here. And our women's team sees it as, we need to get better, and we need to do better outdoors. And so a lot of excitement, a lot of school records, a lot of top 10s, and I think our team is going to do a really good job of carrying it into the outdoor season. The weather just needs to cooperate, as always in South Dakota. Our first meet will be at our place. It's going to be April 7th right now, kind of depending on the weather. We're going to do a duel against Augustana, so that should be pretty exciting for us to kind of go head-to-head and have some fun and kind of get that first meet out of the way.
Yeah, sounds like a great way to start the outdoor season. So thanks for taking the time with us, Coach. Congrats on a phenomenal indoor season. We're looking forward to the outdoor year.
Well, thank you, Eric, for covering us and for all the publicity you give us.
You're welcome.